Have you ever loved someone so much that you'd give up your own voice for years, just for a chance to save them? This is the story of a girl whose silence became the loudest act of love the world had ever seen. In a far-off kingdom, wrapped in emerald forests and shadowy secrets, there lived a king who loved to ride deep into the wild. One golden afternoon, while chasing a swift, silver-furred creature through the trees, he rode so far that the familiar paths disappeared. The sun slid behind the canopy, and the air turned cool and damp. Alone among the mossy roots and whispering leaves, he heard a voice, low and scratchy. From the dusk stepped an old woman, bent like a crooked branch, her head bobbing as though it carried too many years. Her eyes glittered in the dim light. "Lost, are we, dear king?" she asked. "I am," the king admitted. "Show me the way back, and I will reward you." "Oh, I can," she said slowly. "But in return, you must take my daughter as your queen." Desperate to find his way, the king agreed. She led him to a small hut, where her daughter sat beside the fire, a beautiful young woman with hair like midnight silk. Her beauty was undeniable, but her gaze was cold, unsettling. Still, the king brought her home and made her queen. The king had 7 children from his first marriage, 6 strong sons, and 1 bright, loving daughter. Fearing the new queen's jealousy, he hid them away in a castle deep in the forest, the path revealed only by a magical ball of yarn that rolled ahead to show the way. But the queen noticed his disappearances. Her curiosity sharpened into suspicion, and one day she bribed a servant, learned the yarn's secret, and followed its trail. With her, she carried 6 white silk shirts, each stitched with dark magic. The children, thinking their father had returned, ran toward her, laughing. But before they could reach her embrace, she threw the shirts over the boys. In a flash of light, wings burst from their shoulders, and they rose into the sky as white swans, crying out in confusion before vanishing into the clouds. What she didn't see was the youngest, their sister, watching from the high castle window, her hands pressed to the glass in horror. When their father came, she ran to him, sobbing, "They're gone! 6 swans! My brothers!" But the king, though devastated, did not know the queen was to blame. That night, while the castle lay in silence, the girl made a vow. She would find her brothers, no matter how far she had to travel. She wrapped herself in a warm cloak and slipped into the dark forest. She walked through the night, past moonlit streams and groves where the trees bent low, as though whispering secrets to her. By the next evening, she came upon a small hut built between the roots of ancient oaks. Inside were 6 narrow beds. She curled up beneath the last one, too wary to sleep above. At sunset, the air filled with the whoosh of wings. 6 white swans glided through the open window, their feathers glowing in the firelight. As they landed, the magic unraveled. Their wings faded, feathers melting into skin, and there stood her brothers, whole and human again. She leapt from her hiding place, tears shining in her eyes. They held her close, their voices trembling with joy, but their smiles soon faded. "You can't stay here," the eldest warned. "Robbers live in this hut. If they find you, they'll harm you." "Then tell me how to break the spell," she begged. "There is a way," he said at last, "but it's cruel. For 6 years you cannot speak, not a word, not a laugh, not even a sigh. And in that time, you must sew 6 shirts from starwort leaves. If you speak, even once, it will all be undone." She nodded, her eyes steady. From that moment, her voice became her sacrifice. She gathered starwort leaves, sewing by moonlight and dawn, her fingers pricked and raw. The forest became her silent companion, the deer that paused to watch her work, the wind that combed gently through her hair. One morning, as sunlight spilled across the forest floor, a hunting party appeared. The king of that land spotted her sitting high in a tree, her golden hair gleaming like spun sunlight. "Who are you?" he called. She only looked down at him, silent, and dropped her golden necklace as a gesture of peace. then her silk girdle, then her scarf. Still, he did not leave. He sent his men to lift her down gently, and though she did not speak, she went with them. The young king was struck by her quiet grace. In her eyes, he saw strength without sharpness, gentleness without weakness. Within days, he declared, "I will marry her, voice or no voice." And so they wed. But the king's mother distrusted her new daughter-in-law. "She speaks to no one," she whispered to her son. "We don't know what she hides." A year later, the young queen bore a child. But in the night, the king's mother stole the baby and smeared the queen's lips with blood. At dawn, she told her son, "Your wife has eaten her own child." The king refused to believe it, yet the seed of doubt was planted. A year passed, and the same thing happened again. Then a third time. By the third loss, the king's heart was torn. Bound by the law, he could not protect her. She was sentenced to burn at the stake. The morning of her execution, she walked calmly to the square, 6 nearly finished shirts folded neatly over her arm. The people wept as they watched, unsure how such a silent, gentle woman could commit such crimes. But as the sun reached its highest point, a great rushing of wings filled the sky. 6 swans descended in a circle of white feathers. With trembling hands, the queen threw the shirts over them one by one. Feathers melted away, revealing her brothers, alive and whole, except for the youngest, who still had one swan wing where an arm should be. And then, for the first time in 6 years, she spoke. Her voice was clear and strong. "I am innocent. The Queen Mother cursed my brothers and stole my children. I kept silent to save them, and today, my vow is complete." The crowd gasped. The king's face went pale. The stolen children were found, safe and hidden away by the wicked Queen Mother. Justice was swift. She was banished forever, her name erased from every stone in the castle. The young queen, now reunited with her children and her brothers, was crowned not only in gold, but in the hearts of her people. The sound of her voice, quiet for so long, became a song the kingdom cherished. And every spring, when swans returned to the rivers and lakes, the wind through the pines would sound like wings in flight, and a promise kept. Kindness sometimes wears the face of sacrifice. Love sometimes speaks loudest in silence. And promises, once kept, can change not just lives, but kingdoms. If this tale touched your heart, like, comment, and subscribe for more magical stories. And tell me, if you had been her, could you have kept silent for 6 years to save the ones you love?